All right, welcome back, Kings and Queens, y'all. We are still talking the Diddy trial. I thought we would take like a little day off, have a little barbecue, put a little steak on the grill, a little corn, potatoes, and all that. But no, this is just the gift that keeps on giving. And when I tell you, baby, Cassie, let me say this to you. And I tell you what, listen, let me just say this to you. Some things are left better off unsaid. Sometimes you take your bag, you take your money, you take your $30 million and you leave and you close the door quietly. We talk a lot about closing the door quietly over here. And I do believe the fact that Cassie had something else to say post verdict may have placed a target on her back. What are your thoughts? I think the fact that she came out and poked her head out like a groundhog has possibly caused her to be a sitting duck. Because as of today, Clayton Howard, a male escort, has filed a lawsuit against Cassie, claiming she gave him an STD and aborted their pregnancy without his knowledge, without his permission. Clayton, come on now. Are you sitting here telling me you wanted the baby? We're going to talk about it. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I'm Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Clayton, quit playing with me, because I know damn well you know and I know. I'm sorry, y'all. You know and I know Cassie did not want a baby with you. But Cassie, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You testified under oath that it was consensual. They have exhibits that they entered into the court as evidence of you initiating freak offs, of you directing and guiding. And sometimes, y'all, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Cassie, you had the favor of the public opinion after you left that courtroom. You needed not say nothing again. I'm sorry. Just because a lawyer says to do something doesn't mean they're right. My background is in organizational psychology with a specific focus in behavioral modification. I would have told her, we're not saying one word. We're going to wait. We're going to let the smoke clear. We're going to be quiet. I strongly believe because Cassie has something to say, and now people know that she got that money comes to me, flowing effortlessly. They're going to come for you, Cassie, because he was found not guilty. They're going to come for you, and they're going to strip and rob and attempt to take every penny of that $30 million that you received. And you know what? We got to base it on the law. We have to base it on the law. When Cassie received $20 million from Sean Diddy Combs, that was her justice. Cassie chose a civil lawsuit over criminal charges. That was her justice. That was her freedom to choose within the legal parameters that she had of how she wanted to approach her case. When Cassie received $10 million from the Intercontinental Hotel, she utilized the flexibility and the freedoms that were that she rightfully deserves, right, within the legal system. So if we're gonna base it by law, I need you to sit back, take your feelings out of the equation. And if we're talking law, he has every right to sue as a victim. See, that's why I'm saying, because some of you are gonna say he ain't no victim. Well, that's what the people are saying about Cassie. Now, do you see how this thing is convoluted and it becomes complicated, like I was telling you? Well, you need to choose. I ain't choose. I'm telling you, it's complicated. And you're going to say, hold up, Clayton, because you consented. Well, now he's a victim. And he's coming after Cassie. He's also coming after Diddy, but I think his primary target is Cassie. And I think he's going to get something, but because he's claiming that Cassie gave him, not Diddy, Cassie gave him an STD knowingly infected him. Now, let me ask you something. Had it been a man in any situation, we're not talking about the celebrity status of it all, but had a man knowingly slept with different women and did not protect themselves, did not or was not proactive in protecting himself, and gave STDs to different men, what would be your thought? I mean, to different women, what would be your thought? If it were a man that was sleeping with different women and freak offs and giving them STDs, what would be your thoughts? Because now you have this male escort that says, although the government did not call me and qualify me as an expert witness, listen, this girl slept with me. She gave me an STD. And not only that, listen, oh my God. He's saying she aborted their baby without his permission. Now, Clayton, I'm gonna need you to come forward to the altar on this good old Thursday, Sunday. You and I both know damn well Cassie did not want a baby by you. But however, Cassie, he's a victim. And listen, some people are going to say to y'all, I need you to keep that same energy. And that's why I keep saying over here, we hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits. Because I said, women, be very, very careful. Be very careful. It's a tricky game of how you present yourself when you say, listen, I ain't going to even get into it today. We have to be careful as women. Either we're in charge and we're equal or we're not equal. He's looking at her as an equal abuser and an equal predator. If you go back to maybe a year and a half ago, Jonathan Odie, and a lot of people conveniently skipped over this. I'm talking about the facts. And some of you don't like the facts or you become uncomfortable with the notion that we talk facts over here, right? Not opinion. Well, I'm going to insert my opinion. But when I do, I'll let you know this is what I believe. Here's my thoughts. But the fact of the matter is, Jonathan Odie, about a year and a half ago, we got a glimpse of a social media clip of Jonathan Odie stating, I was Cassie's and Diddy's sex slave for a number of years. Listen, this is wild. Clayton Howard, a male escort, is coming for Cassie and Diddy in his new lawsuit. And he's suing them. Well, he's actually claiming that he contracted an STD from Cassie. Now, either that's true or that's false because they're going to dig up his medical records, right? And his name was mentioned in the courtroom. So I know that for a fact because I have the notes. He's saying, listen, she gave me something. Now, I know that was mentioned in the courtroom because they showed a text message between Cassie and Sean Puffy Combs where he's like, oh my gosh, you got to be more careful. And she says, I'm going to go take a test. Now, while we were in a courtroom, she said tests. It was plural. I immediately thought STDs. Some of us kind of went back and forth, and I said, it's a STD. Because if you look at the next text messages, you can clearly see that some of them were omitted. And my notion is, well, you cannot talk about people's medical diagnosis or medical conditions because it's a clear violation of HIPAA, right? So he's saying he contracted an STD from Cassie and that Cassie allegedly boarded their unborn child without his permission. He was one of the several male escorts that was hired by Cassie and Diddy. And he's claiming that during the freak-offs, he went by the name, quote unquote, Dave. Dave. That was his alias. And during one session, he contracted. Now, they're not saying what STD. They're not saying it. I know you don't. Now, here's my thing with you, Clayton. You go on record. You're going to have to go on record about it, whether you want to or not, because you're going to have to prove it. And one thing we know about the feds, they're going to get all up in your business, whether you want them to or not. Cassie, you may have received immunity in Diddy's criminal criminal trial, but that doesn't mean that people cannot, or these men, or whomever else may have been in those rooms, may not bring charges up against you. And that's why I keep telling y'all, less, say less, do less. And not because I don't know, not because you're weak or anything like that. Say less. Less is more. And when Cassie kept pounding and pounding and pounding, it's the easiest way from a psychological perspective to make an enemy, to put a target on your back. You should have sat it out. You should have leaned on your feminine woes. You should have left, had your baby in peace, and left those losers in the background. But you didn't. You came back. And because you came back, people feel like, you know what? Let me go after her. And I think this just may be the beginning of mayhem for Cassie. Because here's my thing. Do y'all still feel like a victim is a victim is a victim is a victim? Or is there a bias where you feel like a man can't be a victim and only a woman can be a victim? And we talk very openly and honestly over here on this channel. I asked you last night, is it that women are perceived to be the victims because we possess a vagina? Nothing more, nothing less. That's it. That's all. I'm not saying what I'm just asking. Or are we going to keep the same energy when a man comes to the forefront and say, I was victimized? And not only was I victimized by Diddy, but I was victimized by Cassie. She's also complicit. She was also a predator. She was also an abuser. And here's what she made me do. And here's what she did to me. What are your thoughts? I want to talk about it. And not only that, let's go a little bit deeper. Because an alternate juror did an interview where he said, I saw the freak offs. I saw the freak offs from both the angle of the defense and the angle of the prosecution / government. And no matter how you spin it, there was nothing in that room that was forced. It was actually pretty chill, pretty relaxed. And y'all, listen to this. Watch this. In the lawsuit that Clayton Howard has just filed against Cassie and also Diddy, but it seems like a bulk of his lawsuit is focused primarily on Cassie. He's claiming that Cassie aborted his unborn child without his knowledge and says that after the abortion, she continued to have unprotected sex with him. Now, here's my thing, sir. You consented. That's what I told y'all. It's very tricky. So for some of you that are gonna come in here and say, sit down. That's what people are telling Cassie. Sit down. You consented. It's so complicated, but it doesn't have to be. In his book, Cassie, Victim or Co-Conspirator, he detailed Cassie revealing she was pregnant while he'd been in prison for violating parole. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. She told me that she, quote unquote, she told me that she had been pregnant and was sure it was my child. He claimed she began to cry and said she didn't want to go through with it. After seeing her emotional, he claims that he had no choice but to forgive her. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. Because if we're going by the law, Diddy has been vindicated of the allegations and charges of sex trafficking. Cassie, this moves you to the forefront. And I want to talk about something before I play the interview from the juror. Nobody knows what really happened in those rooms except the parties that were in the rooms. Let me say that again. No one knows what happened in those rooms except the parties that were in those rooms. That's the first thing. The second thing is no one knows the intent of the parties in the room except each separate individual. Only Cassie knows if she was a victim. Only Clayton knows if he was truly a victim. Only Diddy knows if he crossed the line and victimized Cassie and or Jane Doe. Only Jane Doe knows if she's playing the system and trying to come up. Only Cassie knows if she's playing the system and trying to come up, and her real intent for choosing civil over criminal. And only Clayton knows the real reason he's filing a criminal lawsuit opposed to, I don't know, seeking criminal justice. But based on a newly released interview with the alternate juror, I don't think the jurors' true thoughts are going to be in the favor of Cassie and this civil suit that this escort has just dropped, okay? That's the first thing. Second thing, as a reminder to all of you that are tuned in, subscribers, content creators, journalists, bloggers, media outlets, let's not pick on the jurors. Let's not villainize them. Let's not throw them shade. These people are innocent, living their good old lives before they were summoned and answered the call of duty to come in and do the right thing. My call of action to major news outlets, if you're going to call them to the carpet, then treat them right and show them the utmost respect. Don't give them shade. Don't give them sarcasm because they say or do not say what you think they should say. They are jurors. They didn't ask to be a part of this. They were selected, they were chosen, and they did their due diligence as citizens of the United States of America. That's it. That's all.
They were very graphic, and but I think overall, you know, we were looking at it from like one side, and it was definitely riveting and eye-opening.
What did you see on the videos? You know, the press wasn't able to see it in real time.
Yeah. No, I mean, they were showing some of the. Well, I mean, it was both the freak offs and hotel nights, as they were called, from both of them. But it was.
What were they showing those videos?
They showed, well, again, you know, the defense and the prosecution showed different clips, so they were very selective. Like the prosecution was showing more, you know, just Cassie just sitting around.
The defense showed that.
Defense showed that, yeah.
Just her sitting around not engaging in sexual activity.
Yes.
The prosecution, when you had to have your headphones on, otherwise, what were you seeing then?
There was sexual activity, but I mean, it wasn't really.
Was it force?
No, it didn't seem forced. It was actually like pretty tame.
Really?
Yeah.
Did she?
It was just a lot of rubbing oil and stuff on there. It wasn't anything too you know, graphic.
Let me ask you. This jury that deliberated did not find sex trafficking when it came to Cassie Ventura. They also didn't find it when it came to Jane. And I want to ask you about Jane in a moment. But did it surprise you when it came to Cassie Ventura that they did not convict on sex trafficking?
No, I think it was a difficult thing to prove. And I think there was always some doubt, you know, whether, because, you know, I think what the judge says, it has to be forced. And I think the defense did show some messages where it didn't seem that it was forced.
Oh, her text messages, she talked about it.
Yeah.
That was really important to you to consider.
I think that was one aspect, yes.
Did that make you feel that it was consensual?
It did seem like it, yeah.
Talk to me about Jane.
Even in the videos and everything. Everything seemed very consensual.
Really?
Yeah.
How about with Jane? Obviously, she testified for several days, very emotional at times.
It was, yeah.
What did you think of her credibility? Did you believe her?
It was very again, riveting, you know, long testimony, and I mean, I did believe her, at least on some parts. Some parts were a little bit didn't add up as much. It seemed a little strange.
What part seemed strange to you?
One part for me that seemed a little strange was the night, I think, when Jane was in, you know, when they had the fight.
Yeah.
It just, the timing seemed a little like you're going from like one closet to another closet to the, you know, it just something didn't add up there.
How about the impact when you heard that her rent was being paid or her lawyer is being paid by the defendant. Did that surprise you?
That was surprising, yeah, and it was still being paid.
What did you think when you heard that?
Wow, it was surprising.
I want to ask you as well about, I mean, obviously I'm talking about Diddy as if I know him. Like, we know his name because he's, this very famous person. Did the fact that he was so famous, did that impact you in any way? Did you know him?
No, I did not know him.
Do you know his music at all?
No, I don't. I didn't really listen to his music.
So seeing him was just a stranger.
Pretty much. I mean, I know of him, and I know, but I don't really follow his music or the rap industry in general. So that might have been why. I think a lot of the jurors, I think if you look at their backgrounds, I don't think they were, they didn't follow this or that. I mean, that's probably why they were chosen. I was never expected to be chosen, to be honest.
Yeah. Well,
I wasn't even looking for this at all.
Who would be, right?
Exactly.
But let me ask you, the other jurors, when you would talk to them, I know you weren't allowed to deliberate at all in this, but when you talk to them, were they familiar with who he was? Did his celebrity status seem to impact them at all?
No, I don't think so, no. I think everyone was really waiting for the interpretation of the law. And
is that because you were confused about the case or because you just wanted to know your marching orders?
I think we wanted to know our marching orders and how we need to look at everything. I think we were really, I think, at least for me, we want to be, and we are asked to be as impartial as possible. So we needed to know, you hear both sides of, one side, the other side. And it's very important to know what we're actually supposed to be, ruling at and how we're supposed to be looking at it from the judge. There
was a juror who was excused close to the end of the trial. What did you know about that and why?
We weren't told, what happened. I mean, I think someone had mentioned that it was, I think he lied about where he was from or something like that. But really, we were kind of kept in isolation from the whole day. Not really told much, told to not follow any news or turn off everything. Don't talk to anyone. Don't talk among yourselves about the case, which we followed. We really followed the judge's instructions. At least I did too.
So when that person,
myself,
when that person was no longer in the chair after seeing them there for 7 weeks on end, or how many weeks it was in at that point, did you think it was odd? Did you have concerns?
No. I mean, that's why they have, they call 18 people, because then they knew it was a long case, and there's probably going to be someone's going to get sick or someone's going to drop out. So that's why. So
would you have wanted to hear Diddy testify? Would it have made a difference to you?
I don't think so, no. I don't think so.
It wouldn't have made a difference because it would have added to your understanding, or because you'd heard enough?
I think we heard enough.